Good afternoon, Professor and class. This is Giovanni. For today's presentation, I will be going over briefly Mary Parker Follett and her theory on management, Elton Mayo and Fritz Ritzelsberger and their insight and contributions to the human theory. The two concepts that I noticed throughout the reading, those being cohesion and collaboration. At the same time, I will add a little bit of administrative management theory to support those concepts. The two peer-reviewed articles that add to it, and finally, how each concept could impact my task force, hopefully in a positive manner. Mary Parker Follett was a pioneer in public administration. Her theories emphasized the importance of collaboration, shared power, and the importance of human relationships in any organization. Her philosophy was that managers should not simply give orders, but instead work with employees with what she called power with rather than power over, combining cooperation and integration of ideas. Alton Mayo and Fritz Ritzelsberger pioneered the idea of human relationships theory, which places importance on the social and emotional needs of workers in the workplace. They believe that an employee's productivity will improve if the employee is felt valued and included and part of a social or support group. Throughout the chapters and articles, the two concepts that I kept coming to my mind was cohesion and collaboration. At first, one might think that they are the same thing, but they are not. Cohesion is the strength of the bonds that holds a group together, while collaboration is the actual act of working together to achieve a specific goal. Our textbook even points out that one of the faults of Weber's theory of bureaucracy and of scientific management was the lack of value and importance to cohesion. You may read that on chapter 6, pages 119 and 120, bottom of 119 and top of 120. Now, cohesion and collaboration cannot work separate in management. They are a duet. In chapter 7, page 131, starting at the top, Follett discusses the need for humans to work together, to create social bonds, and participate in a collective life. What she is describing is cohesion. Cohesion is important and even innate to humans for many reasons. It brings a sense of belonging, support systems, provides an identity and self-worth. Now, there could be many reasons why. Could be that early humans needed this for survival and to build communities. So in other words, it might be an evolutionary trait. Nonetheless, this is needed as mentioned on page 144 of our text when describing human relationships model. Cohesion is key to Follett's theory. Now, Mayo and Roethlisberg even stated that cohesion might have been one of the reasons for an increase of productivity in the Hawthorne study. This could be found on page 160 at the very top. But as I mentioned before, cohesion works hand in hand with collaboration. From pages 162 through 164, our textbook speaks about the bank wiring observation room study. In the study, researchers discovered that the men deliberately restricted their output despite a financial incentive. Now, the reason being that an individual, a worker, wanted to match the group's informal norms, in other words, their habits. In other words, they collaborated together to achieve a certain productivity, all in the name of cohesion. Collaboration is important to cohesion because it strengthens bonds through a shared purpose, which means more for your working than a slight increase of money. In the article Voices from the Past, Mary Parker Follett and Joseph Smith on collaborative leadership, Arthur Markey, Mendel Hall, and W. Jeffrey Marsh continue with the concept of collaboration in the work environment. The authors masterfully point out that Follett advocated that the essence of a true leadership is not about having power over others, but instead lies with creating power with workers through cooperation and shared responsibilities. On pages 287 through 288, The authors create a mock interview using archival notes of Follett to answer the questions regarding the essence of collaboration. Based on the archival notes, Follett believed that the spirit of collaboration is not about compromise or domination, but it is found in the process of integration where differences are put together to form a new solution. In their article, The Hadron Effect, what the original Hadron studies actually show, Gustav Wickstrom and Tom Bennett analyzed the original data behind the Hadron studies. They concluded that there is no clear evidence of the so-called Hawthorne effect. Actually, they know that the concept itself lacks any consistent definition. Nonetheless, there was a change in productivity during the study, but they attributed the change to other possible factors or even variables. On page 364, the author lists several other factors that could explain productivity changes, such as morale, supervision, teamwork, and cohesiveness. One variable that stood out to me and hopefully to you was that cohesiveness was mentioned. On page 365 of the article, they point out that the incentive paid tied to the output of small groups rather than large departments help boost productivity. So, in other words, smaller groups are able to produce more than the bigger groups. This finding suggests that smaller groups naturally build stronger bonds, which reflects the definition of cohesion. Scientific management and bureaucracy are ingrained in civil servant jobs. My task force will not be any different. However, unlike scientific management and bureaucracy would imply, productivity cannot be rewarded or used either as an incentive or punishment. Instead, a human approach must take place. Most civil servants truly believe in the mission of helping others and helping their community. With that, the implication is that they are part of a community, and collaboration and cohesion is the glue that holds that community. It will be the charge of the manager to incorporate some of the tenets of human relationship theory in order to manage others during the task force to make sure that the mission statement that is made is accomplished. These are the references to the two articles that I studied. They'll be attached with this presentation. With that, this brings an end to my presentation. This was truly a great assignment. I truly enjoyed the readings that we had, the articles that I read, and putting this all together. I truly felt that this really brought home the human theory. With that said, I want to wish you all good luck. Can't wait to see your presentation, and God bless.